Stu and Chaz have taken a date with Tommy and Chuckie to the toy palace. Although Chaz is concerned about the safety of some of the toys, such as a radioactive alligator and an actual working time machine for kids, in addition to the fellow customers aggravating his asthma, causing him to wheeze, Stu in his element as a toy inventor and has no problem with any of the toys. Likewise, Tommy and Chuckie love Toy Palace so much that they decide to live in the store, putting toy replacements in their strollers where their respective dads aren't looking. Tommy and Chuckie manage to slip off as the store closes for the day. Though the store has an elaborate camera system complete with dozens of cameras, the security guard doesn't pay attention at all as he eats donuts and watches TV. Deep inside Toy Palace, Tommy and Chuckie wander around and see things such as a miniature setup of Grizzlies' baseball game and a Cowboys and Indians play set, where they accidentally activated little Indians fire toy arrows with plastic suction cups that strike a nearby teddy bear. Tommy uses a doctor's kit to play save the bear by covering it in bandages. Chucky decides to take the bear with them, so they go on. Meanwhile, Chaz and Stu arrive back at their homes, only to finally realize their boys are missing and rush back to the toy store. Meanwhile, the babies decide to run on the toy train. However, it turns out to be significantly more thrilling than expected, as the tracks are very much like that of a roller coaster. After passing through the dummy bear section of the store, the teddy bear falls off the train and Chucky jumps off to save it. Tommy pulls on the brakes and manages to successfully stop the train, though the sudden stop causes him to fly off. He lands safely in a display of small stuffed gorillas, unknowingly activating a much larger one at the same time. Tommy then sets off and tries to try and find Chucky. Chucky wanders around to try and find Tommy. Unfortunately, he walks into a dimly lit section that's filled with clown toys. Chucky is frightened until Tommy shows up, but their relief is short-lived as Thorg, the large mechanical gorilla, shows up shouting, "Thorg hungry! Thorg want to eat!" causing the two to flee. Stu and Chaz finally arrive back at Toy Palace and knock out on the security door. The guard cautiously answers, and Stu and Chaz explain the situation to him. Unfortunately, the guard doesn't believe them because the toy store is armed with a certain state-of-the-art security system would have picked up the babies. It did, though, and the only reason the guard didn't notice the babies was because he was distracted by a portable TV he brought from home. Stu becomes interested in the security system, but Chaz wants to find his son. Moments later, he spies both babies on one of the cameras and rushes into the store, followed by Stu and the guard, who's shocked that the baby penetrated the system. Thorg appears to be actively chasing Tommy and Chucky, so they decide that someone else needs to fight Thorg. Reptar. They find a large mechanical Reptar, not unlike Thorg, and manage to activate it. Reptar begins to move, repeating the phrase, "Halt! I am Reptar!" in a very heroic-sounding male voice. Reptar and Thorg fight until the mechanical Reptar pushes Thorg into the time machine. The time machine activates, sending Thorg back to the time of the American Revolutionary War, when George Washington and his army are crossing the Delaware River. Moments later, Stu and Chaz arrive and are reunited with their sons. The security guard is happy to see them reunited. In the Pickles' backyard, Grandpa Lou is reading to Tommy from a pop-up book about pirates. Dee Dee arrives with Chucky, Phil, and Lil. She asks Grandpa to watch the rest of the Buccaneers while she does some housework inside. Grandpa continues the story, telling the babies about treasure maps and that an X marks the spot where treasure is. When Grandpa falls asleep, the children act out an adventure to find treasure, with Tommy being Long Tom Silver. Angelica hides in the bushes nearby, plotting to steal the treasure once the babies find it. After sailing in the wagon to the deserted island the map leads to, they follow the landmarks such as Blackbeard's Cave, a bucket, and Mount Baldy. Grandpa. They reach the X and dig up the box of treasure from the sand. Moments later, Admiral Angelico of Spinach, Maine shows up in her galleon and demands the treasure. She begins firing beach balls from her cannons at the babies. The babies load the treasure chest into their rowboat and try to escape, but eventually they find a larger ship. They board and return fire at Admiral Angelico. Soon one of the cannonballs damages the baby ship and Angelico boards. She and Long Tom have a sword fight, leading him to the crow's nest. Angelico slips, loses her sword, and nearly falls, but Long Tom pulls her to safety. She then steals Tommy's sword and demands the treasure, Angelico making Long Tom walk the plank in return for his refusal. Tommy is just about to fall into the water, in reality, the kiddie pool. and Dee Dee comes outside and catches Angelica physically bullying and abusing the babies and wasting toilet paper. When Angelica says they're playing pirates, Dee Dee sternly tells her that she'll go inside and swab the decks for a while, or until her parents pick her up as punishment. Tommy is relieved that Angelica never got the treasure and shows it to his friends. Grandpa finally wakes up and finishes the book with the end.